Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zo. Cantu is on the other side. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend because I know personally for me, it was a great freaking weekend, Angel. I'm not going to lie. See, the title of this episode is Houston equals Clutch City. Obviously, U of H, what a freaking comeback on them. I mean, they were losing to Duke by 9 points, I think, with 30-something seconds. Of course, we've seen Tracy McGrady do that in the Houston Rockets uniform with 13 and 30 seconds. But how U of H fought back and beat one of the best teams in college basketball is pretty freaking insane.
Yeah, it was a 13-3 run to in the last minute and a half left. So hey, hats off for U of H for batting to the end of the buzzer because I think at the 3-4 minute point, many people believed it was over. Duke was going to be playing in the championship, but they didn't give up. I think that's just the culture that Kevin Sampson has built in that program. So hats off to them.
Like you said, the culture, man. That's that dog culture over there with that Kelvin Sampson program. So of course, U of H is going to be playing the title game against Florida on Monday. But I mean, I think the Astros did the same thing. they had the
Yeah.
Kelvin Sampson instinct with U of H and bring it over here to the Twin Cities against the Minnesota Twins on a comeback in Game 3 of this series. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing to see that you cannot count these guys out. And sure enough, the bats just, chipping away, score runs here in this inning, score runs there in that inning. And then, of course, Yordan Alvarez, the shot heard around downtown Minneapolis, tied the game. And then, of course, Houston, I mean, there's been some games that they're not really too good with the extra innings, but this was one of those games that they capitalized, very aggressive on the base pass. We're going to talk about this series here and break it down here just a second. With this Twin Series, your Houston Astros are 4-4. They are even at 500 in the division. And we'll preview that Seattle series. We'll take a little overall what happened in this series against the Minnesota Twins. Lance McCullers Jr. rehab starts against the Corpus Christi Hooks on Saturday, so we'll talk about that here, as well as a roster update, breaking news just like literally minutes ago. So we'll have that here and around the horn. But Cantu, you want to let everybody know where they can follow us, where they can find us before we get this show started?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on X, TikTok, YouTube at Full Steam Ahead, Instagram at FSA Full Steam Ahead. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts there. But if you want the best of the best of Astros coverage, Astros baseball, you came to the right place.
Yeah, we give the best content. We get the best interviews, coaching interviews, all that type of stuff. We were the best ones at that, and we're always at the game. So please, if you haven't done so, look at that. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. We have already some YouTube videos from the beginning of the season regarding of Cam Smith's call-up, Zach DeZenzo making the roster. If you haven't go check out those videos, you make sure to go check those out. But like I mentioned, 4-4 is the overall record for your Astros. And this series, specifically at Game 3, I honestly thought there was a chance that they were not going to come back. 7-1 in the middle part of this game. And you maybe, like, if you're a Houston Nationals fan, you're probably having doubts like, yeah, this is not going to be the win. U of H, maybe the Astros sacrificed this loss for U of H to win that game on Monday. And no, the Astros just kept on doing what they do and not giving up. And we've seen that from past seasons with the Astros. Every game, every postseason game specifically, obviously the one that comes into mind is that Seattle game in Game 1 of the ALDS in 2022 with Yordan Alvarez hitting that walk-off home run against Robbie Ray. And sure enough, that's how this game was. And we'll start off in that first innings because the bats were aggressive. I mean, it looked really good. Jose Altuve, swinging on that first pitch, gets a single. Isaac Paredes, what a series he had. Like we had told y'all, you just got to be patient. You got to be patient with him. He puts up great at-bats, works the count, and sure enough, 4-for-5 day for him. Have a day for him. But the second pitch of that at-bat, go ahead.
4-for-6.
Oh, 4-for-6. My mistake. Correct. Paredes hit that second pitch, a single. Altuve to third. You got first and third. Alvarez get that sac fly, and then Christian Walker with the single. Paredes to third, and obviously that's how the Astros got the 1-0 going. But they did run into a mishap, and Ronel Blanco just didn't have his stuff. Didn't look great from the start. A little bit of command issues, I would say, as well. But you got to give credit to the Twins hitters. They were forcing a lot of pressure on Ronel, throw a lot of pitches, 3-2 counts, fouling pitch after pitch. Ronel got out of that first inning with 36 pitches.
Yeah.
That's, that's just insane. 36 pitches in the first inning. Like I mentioned before, it was just inconsistent command, I would say. Changeup was not moving. Fastball was missing its
Yeah.
location. So, yeah, it was just one of them things for Ronell. He just didn't have his
Yeah.
command for this game.
I would say it was more a little bit of his fastball command not being there, which kind of limits your pitch selection because if you can't control that fastball, um, they're not going to be chasing that changer because they're going to be reading it really good. But like you said, shout out to those Twins hitters. They came in there with a plan for Ronel Blanco and they were executing. They were aggressive when they needed to be, but they did a great job of working the count, of not chasing his stuff. And I think the first go around or like the first two go rounds against Ronel Blanco, most of those hitters had a quality at bat. Like they were
Mhm.
seeing lots of pitches. They were making it work, like you said. But just at that point, you got to tip your cap because they had a plan and they executed against Ronel Blanco.
Yeah, just for your baseball terminology, quality at bat is 6 pitches and plus in that at bat. So if you work the count to 3-2, or you go 2-2 with a lot of foul pitches, that's a QAB in the books. But his stat line, it wasn't really pretty. Joe Spada took him out in the second inning, knowing that his bullpen was already being worked off of from the last start, which we'll have game two in the second. 1.2 innings pitched, inning and two, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. I will say too, the walks did hurt him, and we've talked about walks equals runs. Walks equals runs. Hit by pitches equals runs. And like Angel had mentioned, I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. And the Twins hitters had a game plan. And this season specifically for Ronel Blanco going into his second full season. Like you mentioned, Angel, a lot of teams are going to adjust to him. It's the matter of fact if he's going to adjust and see what he can do better. Of course, in the beginning of spring training, that was the number one priority for him, was to limit the walks. And in the last two starts, both of them having 3 walks in each start.
Yeah.
So
And he's gonna have work to do, especially he knows there's help coming in the middle of the season, and if he wants to stay in the rotation, he's gonna have to clean those blocks up.
yeah, it's going to be very tough, just depending on Lance McCullers, how he's going to come. Same goes for Javier. Same goes for France. We'll just have to see how he's going to continue prolonging. Maybe you get a Ryan Gusto start maybe in one of these games. So we'll just have to see what progresses for Ronell. But it's just one of them games that he just didn't have his stuff. And, that's the beauty of baseball. Next start, you can have it, erase it from this game. Because at the end of the day, the Astros did win 9-7. And let's talk about how that started. I mean, 1-0, it was 1-7. Luis Contreras did give up some runs as well. But the Astros just kept chipping away. They're never going to back down. They're never going to give up. One of these games I remember in Target Field, I want to say it was 2017 or 2018, that the Astros came back on Memorial Day weekend. I'm not 100% sure because I do remember them wearing like the camouflage
Yeah,
uniforms. But they
against
did come
Minnesota
back.
too.
Yeah, they did come back that game. And sure enough, this was the same thing with this situation for the Astros. Going into the fifth inning, scoring 3 runs, quality at bat from Zach DeZenzo, Jake Myers. We'll talk about these stat lines for these hitters too in a little bit. But Myers got a double, got the runners on second and third. And of course, Jose Altuve, being the aggressive hitter that he is, forces Willie Castro, who was playing third base down the line, made him make a tough throw, threw it, and the first baseman came off the bag. DeZenzo scores. And credit to the Astros, too, the staff. Joe Spada and his staff were like 3 for 3 or 2 for 2 today with challenges. The only one they couldn't challenge was the Yordan Alvarez pop
Oh,
up.
that
I
was
don't know if you
crazy.
saw that one.
Yeah, the foul. I mean, he was in the batter's box and they caught an interference on him. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. I never thought that would be an out. And I'm glad that everybody kept their composure too, because honestly, Joe Spada could have been rung up right there and then in that beginning of the game. Um, but like I said, DeZenzo scores. Myers moves to third. Paredes comes up, and he's just had a really great series, like I had mentioned. Perez with the RBI single. Pena comes up with a not your typical sack fly.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that.
he
Had
did.
a hard line drive to left field. Bader throws it to second. Jose was already off the bag. He goes and retouches the bag, and then he hauls ass to home plate. Bang, bang play. Jose gets his hand in there on the outside part of the play. That's why if you play high school baseball, little league, any type of stuff like that. You always go on the outside part of that plate when you slide at home, because if Jose was slid inside or in the middle part, that would have been an out.
Yeah,
I know
but
you wanted to
that
talk about more.
no. But that just shows his Jose Altuve's baseball IQ. Like Jose Altuve's always been aggressive, always been willing to take the risk, and at times it pays out. Like I don't remember, I don't know, it was last year, a few years ago, where he tagged up on the pop up to the second baseman and was safe.
Mhm.
So it's just this is nothing new for Jose Altuve. Like if there's a way he can steal a run, he will, and it turned out to be that driving force to make that comeback.
I mean, he does have his flaws in base running. Don't we saw that in this game too in the extra innings. But credit to him, because Perez Chica too was telling I don't know who was at second base. I think it was Paredes. He was telling him to come on. Like he was already giving him like the wave. But credit to everybody, stand still on a line drive. That's what you're taught. Jose Altuve thought it was going to be a hit, but credit to him. He put the pressure on the second baseman to make a good throw, and he got safe. So 3 runs in the fifth, scored another run. The sick Brendan Rodgers scored on who else? Paredes, blue RBI single to center, and the Astros were just down 2 runs at that time, and just play on, play on, play on. And the interesting thing for this Twins coaching staff, I just did not get, was putting Johan Duran in the eighth inning, which is their closer, and they put Griffin Jax in the ninth. Griffin Jax is usually the setup man for Minnesota, but they just flip flop, and it just bit Rocco in the butt, man. It just didn't go well for him, because Paredes lead off single, and then Jordan finally gets a hold of a pitch, first home run of the season, 2-run upper decker to tie that ball game at 7 in the ninth. So it was very, it wasn't smart, I would say, for the Twins to put Jackson the ninth and then put Duran in the eighth, because look what happened, bit him in the butt, and I think that was just a questionable move on the Twins pitching staff part.
Yeah, but I think it was just matchup wise, and again, just like players take risks, managers take risks too, and it just didn't work out for Ruff about that.
But some players do not feel comfortable in certain. We talked about Jordan Alvarez. He said in the beginning of beginning of the season, spring training, he's like, if I'm going to stay at one position of this order, then I want to be right there. Don't move me at second. Don't move me at fourth. Don't move me at fifth. Put me in a one certain spot and let me be comfortable from there. And that was the thing for me. I was like, Duran's always been their closer every season, and then you're going to put Griffin Jax in the ninth to close out the game when you had Duran in the eighth. So bit them in the butt, tie ball game at 9. And like I was mentioning, with the extra innings, the Astros aren't the best team when it comes to these extra inning ball games, but they did take advantage. Rogers scored on a hard Altuve single. Credit to, I don't know who bunted. I didn't get to see that part, but I think it was Chaz McCormick. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but somebody bunted and moved Rogers to third. Altuve hard single, RBI. Next up, Myers comes up and being aggressive on that run. I don't like, this was really the epitome of this game, was aggressiveness on the base paths. That was the biggest thing of this game. And Jose Altuve stole second. Jake Myers saw that, so he's like, you know what, I'm going. And this was a defensive substitution. Miranda was at third. Willie Castro's at second. So Castro's already been pressured on in one critical part of the game. And sure enough, another part of the game, Myers comes in and scores on a double steal. So credit to Jake Myers. He really had a good game in game 3. And like I said, he just barely beat the tag, just like that Jose Altuve run. But
Yeah, just aggressive. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's what I was going to mention. Like they just were aggressive on the base paths, and they've been doing a good job on doing that. Lost stolen bases in this series too. I think they had 4 stolen bases total as a team, but 3 coming into this game. Myers had 2 just himself. Altuve still showing the wheels that he still got it at the age that he's at. So not bad.
Yeah, that game 3 win was a full team win. Like everybody contributed there, especially the bullpen picking up Ronel Blanco too, because lasting 2.2 innings, the offense not hitting. I'm sure many Astros fans turned off their TV, turned into something else because 7-1. Get starters out. I'm sure many people thought the Astros were done for, but again, the aggressiveness leads to runs.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up. The bullpen. Shout out to them. Phenomenal job on their part of picking their guy up. Like I said, Ronel didn't have his stuff today. They needed another guy that can be in that middle relief role, and they already used Ryan Gusto in game two. So
Hmm.
game three, they had to figure out what can we do. So Luis Contreras does the job, two in the inning, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Wasn't the best, but hey, that's what you need from your middle relief guys. Give you that extra innings that they can give you. And Rafael Montero has a 4 ERA so far, but hey, this was a good outing for him. 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. A lot of movement on his off-speed pitches. It looked really good, breaking movement horizontally and vertically. So love seeing that from him. Brian King, an inning and a strikeout. Brian Abreu, an inning and a hit and a strikeout. And then, of course, Josh Hader being already comfortable picking up 2 innings from last season. Well, he picked up 2 innings again for this game and got 3 strikeouts and closed the door to get the series win against the Minnesota Twins and give the Astros their 4-4 record.
Josh Hader's just been like I know last year a lot of Astros fans were nervous after his first few outings of the season, but and he turned out to be great. So I think it's just a fast starter for Hader. This is typical for what he could do all season.
Most definitely. But let's talk about this top of the order specifically for game three. This is what the Astros really need if they're going to win some ball games this season because this 1 run, 2 run kind of BS ain't going to work for them. They get to where they're going to want to go. Jose Altuve started off. I mean, well, not just this is the line 2 for 6 with guys in his face. Like we had mentioned with Isaac Paredes having a great game, 4 for 6, 2 RBIs. Yordan Alvarez, 2 for 4, a home run, 3 RBIs. Christian Walker, 2 for 5. Of course, he did have some strikeouts, some critical, I would not say critical, but some indecisive play calling behind the plate. I would say home plate umpire was very inconsistent for both sides. And one of those strikeouts from Walker was outside the zone, and Walker was not pleased by it. But look at that. 2 and 2. Let's do the math real quick. 2 and 4, 6, 10 hits from your 1 through 4 guys of the batting order. That's what you need. And not to mention the RBIs, 2 from Altuve, 2 from Paredes, 3 from Alvarez. That's 7 RBIs. 7 RBIs from your
Yeah,
top 4. That's what you need.
and it's just patience with them. Like we noticed, Joe Espada has been patient with them too. The 1 through 5 guys have been, or 1 through 6 guys have been pretty consistent, like in the play. I think today was the only change, moving Jeremy Peña above Yanni Diaz. But again, those 1 through 6 guys haven't had a day. I don't think they haven't had a day out. Maybe Yanni Diaz has, but they've been up there because that's the only way that they're gonna get hot, taking at bats, looking at pitches. So sometimes guys taking a day off just makes it worse. But guys like Isaac Paredes, you saw today a 4 hit game. This is a guy that was kind of cool. Christian Walker, who's been stinging the balls, finding some gaps too. So it just takes time with some of these guys in the beginning, and this is what patience can lead to these offensive explosion.
Yeah, and speaking of Walker, he did have his first home run for the
Mhm.
Astros in this series. So we'll talk about here in just a second. But let's give credit to the bottom of the order, man. I mean, it just can't be all the guys at the
Yeah,
top. Got to give credit to the guys at the bottom. 8 and 9, not 8 and 9, but 7 and 9 specifically. Brendan Rodgers 2 for 5 in this game. Jake Myers 1 for 2. Yeah, 1 for 2 doesn't sound like a lot of like at bats, but the at bats came from these walks that he made these pitchers work. A lot of 1-2-0-2, 2-2 counts. Myers kept on just getting on him, making him throw a bunch of pitches. Sure enough, 3 walks and 2 stolen bases, some critical stolen bases in this game specifically for Myers. So credit to them on the bottom half of this order. But before we go on to the game two, I'm not game two. We're gonna go to game one. Anything else before we leave off of game three?
no, just a great team win.
Yes, I definitely agree. In game one, I mean, the offense kind of woke up, and we had talked about in our last episode. Where's the offense? Where is Houston hitting? Do we need to see maybe Joe Spada restructure the lineup? Do we need to see some type of, I don't know, some type of what's the word? Like not stereotype. I can't think of the word right now. But anyway, offense woke up like I had mentioned. Christian Walker hits his first home run as an Astro. It was a shot, 402 feet to the second deck. Second decker for um, Christian Skywalker, apparently, to the Houston
Uh,
Astros.
I mean not Jeremy Peña. Isaac Paredes was close to having his first home run in Game 3. I don't know if you saw that. Just foul, but that was a moonshot too.
Yeah, it was just it just missed the foul pole. Him and
Yeah,
Correa actually both missed home runs by
yeah.
that foul pole and left.
Mhm.
But yeah, Christian Walker finally getting on the board of them home runs. I think the only one is missing is Isaac Paredes as a newcomer. Well, even Brendan Rodgers, but Jerry Pena back to back shots follows with a home run of his own. And if you look at the swing in that at bat, that should have been that. Like honestly, that should not have been a home run. It was high out of the zone, and Pena. I mean, I think just looking at Pena's at bats this season so far, his hands are so quick, very quick, high above the zone, like I mentioned. Hits it to left field, and not to mention too, Pena in Game 3 also had 2 hits. So just seeing Pena starting to get back into that 2022 form, fast hands, like I'd mentioned. The barrel percentage, like we had talked about in the last podcast, he's the one that has the highest on this team so far, and it's just showing that it's working out in this series.
Yeah. I mean Peña's the adjustments he's made. I forgot they on the television cast. I think they showed like you were mentioning where his hands were, and like just how much of an impact that has been on him. And I think that's kind of a tribute to last year too. Last year kind of saw the offense to wake up a little bit for Pena and just using his legs too.
Yeah, a lot of power on that guy. I mean, look at the muscles for instance. But Brendan Rodgers was the talk of this game, honestly. I mean, he was great in game one. Finished 3 for 4, a double, 3 RBIs. I did pick up on the Astros broadcast that they had mentioned Rodgers and the hitting coaches, meaning Alex Cintron and Troy Snitker. They discussed about possibly bringing his hands down. Obviously, you're always taught to have him up here, but kind of almost like rested on his shoulder, just like almost like Pena. If you look at Pena, his bat's almost like nearly on his shoulder. Brendan Rodgers, the same thing, just brought him down a little, and it's making a huge difference, honestly. We're going to talk about him in the overall picture, but credit to him, 3 for 4. This was basically the newcomer Astros game with Brendan Rodgers, Christian Walker,
Yeah.
getting them guys on the board.
I guess the Astros fan base can stop the cute like the little chant to fire Cintron too because that was a big thing. That I've been seeing on Twitter that the Astros offense hasn't been, showing up, so Cintron needed to be changed. But if you're talking about this change that helped Brandon Rogers, that's what hitting coaches are for, just to give you tips, advice. At the end of the day, the hitter has to put the ball in play. So you just saw how that small change by the hitting coaches can prove crucial in it, and it shows.
Yeah, the hitting coaches can go out there for the players and just hit for them. They got to do it on their own. They'll tell them, they'll give them advice, what type of adjustments need to be made. And that's why you see all the analytics, you see the video recording too on the iPads and all that stuff. It's helping these hitters figure a way out how to, have better ABs, see where their hands are, all that type of stuff. So yeah, like you mentioned, it shouldn't be, oh, fire the hitting coaches and all this type of stuff. It's baseball. They got to make adjustments, and sure enough, that's what Rogers did in this series. And who made an adjustment too was the starting pitcher Hunter Brown. Got hit up a little, just soft contact, like I mentioned. Looks like a Cy Young pitcher though. Kept his composure, didn't let go of nothing. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Right there, no walks, no walks for Hunter Brown. Pitchers are athletes. I did forget to mention that because a lot of people are saying that they're not. Well, Hunter Brown wants that damn gold glove patch, like he had mentioned in spring training. Made a great jump throw, looking like Derek Jeter off the mound, gets the guy at first. And I mean, Hunter Brown's just, like I said, he's looking like this ace of this staff. And if Framber Valdez can pitch like how he did in opening day, and let's say these two, like if they could be like Verlander and Cole in 2019, man, this
A
team's going
one
to be hard to stop. It's going to be
a
hard to stop.
1-2 punch.
The 1-2 punch. I'm saying if they find that Verlander Coast type of 1-2 punch from 19, bring it to 25. Whew. It's gonna be tough for
And
AL West and the whole league.
Spencer Getty can be consistent too. That's a dangerous rotation.
Yeah, and going to game 2 now. And this is where we talk about all the good, the highs, the pros, and everything from this series. Well, we got to talk about the bad in it. And Spencer Arrighetti just wasn't perfect. I mean, the first two innings, he looked good, looked solid.
Mhm.
7 pitches only in the second inning, not to mention. But that third and the fourth, you can see him kind of falling off the track a little. And sure enough, couldn't finish the fourth inning. His stat line 3 2/3, 3 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Threw 70 pitches, 42 of them were strikes. But like I mentioned with the pitch count, first 3 innings, he threw 38 pitches. He was rolling, he was on a roll. The fourth inning comes and command just started to fall off the track. Hit by pitch, 3 walks, came out to be 32 pitches in the fourth inning. Joe Spa saw enough, and he just had to take him out. And just like Ronel Blanco, it's kind of like you start a good game in your first one of the season, and then game two, they just fell off the track. Both pitchers really their command just wasn't good enough against the Twins.
Yeah, I agree.
But it just can't be all on Spencer Arrighetti. I would say the fourth inning defense and pitching was just not great for the Houston Astros. It was a disaster if I could just describe it in a word. Spencer walked 3 batters, like I'd mentioned, hit Byron Buxton as well. You can really count that as 4 walks, but of course it's a hit by pitch in the book. But like I'd mentioned, the command wasn't really good for Spencer in that inning. Jose Miranda got a cookie. He got a cookie from Spencer, and Diaz set it up outside for him on the part of the plate. Spencer threw it in. The ball never broke. Miranda kept his hands in, 3-run homer to left, and that's what kind of blew up the game for the Twins. Not to mention the defensive part. Jose Altuve still trying to get the feel of things in left field. Bobbled the ball on the transfer. I mean, he played it well. The broadcast even said it himself. He deked, like if he was going to catch it, got Byron Buxton to go back to second base, and there was a play at third base. It could have been a bang bang play, but he had a play at third base. Gets the ball in his glove like this, tries to get the transfer, falls out of his glove, falls out of his hand. The transfer just was bobbled. And with Buxton speed, Byron's pretty damn quick. Went from second all the way to home, got an extra 90 feet, and got a run right there. And then last but not least in that fourth inning, just to put the cherry on top, Taylor Scott tried to make like I said, pitchers are athletes. That's what they say. And he tried making a Hunter Brown play from Thursday, just did not it did not go well. Threw it away. Christian Walker came off the bag and it went to the dugout. And like I said, that fourth inning just overall walks, errors. That's what's going to kill you. And sure enough, that's what killed the Astros in this game.
Yeah, I think the tough part of being a starting pitcher is having to see that lineup over and over again. And I think that's what happened. I think he was trying to be a little bit like proactive and kind of do the hitters again, using something different, and it command affected him. But overall, it was a mess of an inning, like you said. At that point, you were Taylor Scott, that baseball IQ. Don't throw the ball, especially a tough play like that. You got to know the runners too. He was basically already there by the time the ball got there. But I think at that moment, as a pitcher, you're just trying to get out the inning. You're gonna do whatever it takes to do it. And sometimes you gotta make a spectacular play. It just didn't work out for their favor. But at the end of the day, it's in the past. The Astros can watch that one, and it turned out to be a productive road trip to Minnesota because they did win the series.
Yeah, just back to that Taylor Scott one. He should have just ate it because, like you mentioned, Correa was already at the
Yeah.
back. Correa doesn't have he's not fast. He doesn't have the speed
Right.
from 2015, but he was
Yeah.
literally already there. If you're Scott, you gotta just kind of deke it. Third, runner on third comes off the base, and just did not happen. Like I said, fourth inning was just a disaster.
Disaster. Yeah.
That's the way you could describe it. But
Disaster. All right.
yeah, the offense in that game, Jose Altuve scored the lone run of hitting leadoff home run. You thought if you're a Nationals fan, man, this is a great start to this game after winning on Thursday. At that day break on that break on Friday, Saturday rolling with the leadoff homer. Altuve did from that golden sombrero, not to mention in game one,
Yeah.
had 5 strikeouts, the first one in his career. So finished the game 3 for 5. Pena 2 for 4 with the stolen base. The biggest thing for Houston, man, their offense is good, but they have to lay off swinging out of the zone or just taking pitches down the pipe. Total of 13 strikeouts. 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and 11 men left on base.
It's not
Yeah,
gonna get easier in the next road trip either with Seattle.
yeah. Seattle, like we've preached about this on this podcast. They have one of the best rotations in Major League Baseball. Of course, right now
Yeah.
one of their pitchers, George Kirby's out, but you still got guys like Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, Bryce Miller. You still got those guys that can ring you up. And
Yeah.
Angel, we'll talk about that pitch and preview in a
Yeah.
minute. But overall, let's talk about this series just to come into an end of the Minnesota series. Yonder Diaz, we got to talk about him. He is struggling at the plate as of right now. In my opinion, I think he is 0 for 8 with the walk, 3 strikeouts. Like he had mentioned, Angel, he did have that day off on Thursday. Victor Caratini came into that game, but Saturday and Sunday, Yonder just hasn't found himself. He's batting literally .077. If you look at his at bats, they are not quality at bats. They're not good at bats. This is, in my opinion, at least swinging first pitch like Jose Altuve, reaching out the zone, kind of just throwing your bat, see what you could do. Um, the Astros know what they have in this hitter. Joe Espada knows this type of hitter. This is a guy that had 20 something home runs with literally either just under 100 games in 23 or just above 100 games. The power's there, the contact's there. He had almost 300 last season, if I'm not mistaken, or he did. But Yiner just has to figure it out. Just got to clear his head. Just got to be patient with him like everybody else. But that's one thing I can say. When you look at his at bats, it just doesn't look comfortable. He's just, in my opinion, kind of just throwing his bat and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, but that's typical for Yanni Diaz. He's always been an aggressive hitter, but as a mature hitter, you just gotta kind of take your at bats, take your walks. I think he's trying to do a little too much and like be productive, especially in that fifth hole. But I kind of like the change that Joe Espada did, kind of putting him in the six, giving him some a breather where it's there. Some at bats might not be high leverage as it often is when you're the fifth hitter. So just kind of giving them one more, one more batter in front of him to see the pitch a little bit more, do some analytic work in the dugout before going up to work, up to bat. So I like the change. Now, I, I know Yanni Diaz is struggling, but Cam Smith is struggling too. And I've been seeing a lot of, things on Twitter saying that he's not ready, stuff like that. But just how the Astros showing patience with the top in the order with Cam Smith, I feel like once he gets some more at bats, more feel for major leaguers, he'll be ready to.
Yeah, I mean, but for my take on that, Cam Smith's a rookie. I'm not saying he's literally the
Hmm.
best. He's not a star, all that. But like I said, he's a rookie. Yair Diaz, this is his third season now in the bigs.
Yeah,
Two for
that's what I'm saying.
26, 2 for 26, not to mention so far this season.
That's what I'm saying. Like those mature at bats need to come in because again,
Yeah,
like you're right. Like it is his third year in the league, and at this point, hitters know you're aggressive. So what are they doing? Baiting him off the zone, and that's why
yeah,
he's getting those. Like they're just throwing the bat out there, but because they know he's aggressive. So I think once he can show that he can lay off those outside pitches, well, they're gonna have to get him out somehow, right? So they're gonna have to come in a little bit of zone, pinch the corners a little bit, and that's when you can take advantage of those mistakes.
yeah. Them sweepers and sliders, I guess, are deadly to not just him, but Pena as well. But
Yeah.
Pena, like I said, he's been having great at bats. I
You
would
see,
say
but Pena's adjusted.
that's
He's
what I'm
been
saying.
laying them off. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He got to find a way to adjust. You can't swing first pitch all the time. You got to take a pitch here and there. You got to go with. You got to have a game plan when you enter that box. Period. If
And
the
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not disagreeing with you, but you have to have a game plan. You just can't go up there and just lunge and swing at the first pitch. If it's a slider away, take that the other way to right. So that I'm not saying he's not a bad hitter. It's just like you had mentioned, he needs to mature. The at bats are going to come for him. And Joe Espada is not going to get him out of this lineup. Period. Because the only way for you to, I mean, a lot of people probably have heard this, but in order to fail, you're failing right now, and in order to succeed, you have to fail. So he's failing right now. He's going to succeed later on this season, probably. And Yonder Diaz, like I had mentioned, 20 something home runs in 23, 300 something batting average last year. He has the tools, he has the capability to be, and I'm pretty sure a lot of analysts, baseball analysts, know that he's one of the best catchers in the American League.
Yeah,
So just have to be patient with him.
it'll come.
It will come, definitely. Two though, walks hurt, like I mentioned. Walks equals runs. Errors equals runs. And sure enough, you saw that game on Thursday. Hunter Brown and the rest of the bullpen, zero walks in that win on Thursday. The Arrighetti start, you had three walks plus a hit by pitch from Arrighetti, and then Ryan Gusto had a walk. That was a total of four. But as well, going into game three, three walks from Blanco, and then plus a walk from Contreras. Both them guys gave up some runs. So when you give a free pass to the opponent, it's your advantage. Make them hit. Make them hit. You have the defense behind you, all this type of stuff. I feel like a coach right now talking about this, but I mean, it's kind of like it's just common sense. I'm pretty sure it's sense to these guys as well. Um, but like we mentioned, the walks they're going to hurt. Hunter Brown has done a really good job. Remember Valdez, his last start, there was a lot of walks in that start. Lower and minimize the walks. If you do that, you're going to win a lot of baseball games.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But Brendan Rodgers is starting to come around. And we've talked about this from spring training, and we even talked about this in the last podcast, if I'm not mistaken, with giving playing time to Mauricio Dubon and Brendan Rodgers. And right now, Brendan Rodgers is getting the best of it. And who wouldn't want to see Mr. Rogers in the neighborhood, right? Don't we?
Be mine? Would you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor?
Would you be my neighbor? Would you be
Of
my
course.
neighbor?
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, he was visiting the neighborhood over there in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, hitting 333 so far. Good thing for him. Batted 500 in this series. Like I mentioned in the broadcast, they mentioned about him tweaking his batting stance, kind of lowering his arm positioning, and it's looked really good for him. It's looked really good so far, and they just carried the momentum onto Seattle for him.
Yeah. So again with Seattle, though, it's not going to be easy, like I said earlier, because just how we talked about Fernando Valdez, Hunter Brown being a 1-2 punch. Well, guess what? Houston's going to see Seattle's 1-2 punch and Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo 2.0 actually. So if you didn't know this, but Seattle Mariners have two Luis Castillos on their roster, and they're both starting pitchers for them, and the Astros will be seeing them back to back. So kind of unique there. But I guess we can get on with this pitching preview for sure. So Monday, it's an 8:40 start time again. If you're an Astros fan, I'm sure you're glad it's not 9 p.m. because I'm sure you take a 20-minute earlier start time so you can go watch some TV before you go
I was
to
about to
work
say
the
real
next day.
quick before. I don't know if Houston's going to be watching that game. There's another important game on Monday
Oh
night
yeah,
at 7:50.
yeah. Views views might be a little like a little low on the beginning of that
You're gonna have to
opening
put your
game.
TV and then your laptop and then your iPad
Yeah,
and got the three games going, all that type of stuff.
absolutely. But Goku's, I guess you can say that
Of
Monday.
course.
But Logan Gilbert versus Hayden Wazensky. Wazensky, as you saw, is an 0-1 record, 5.40 ERA. Versus San Francisco, he pitched 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Again, he didn't have a bad outing. However, walks were the issue, and how we are just talking about the theme of the pitches, right? Limiting walks. Um, he had 40. He had walked the ninth and eighth guy, and that led to runs, right? So, however, some bright spots in the Hayden Wazensky is he threw his fastball 48 times, and his fastball command has been pretty spectacular. He hasn't allowed a hit off his fastball either. And with thing with Wazensky, he has great movement of his pitches, great sweeper. But in order for those pitches to work, you have to set up the fastball. So once he can do that, I mean, if he continues to do that, those strikeouts will come. He just needs to be able to locate his pitches a little bit better. But Seattle's going to be throwing Logan Gilbert, which is, again, their opening day starter, their ace. He is 0-1 with a 3.00 ERA. However, that don't let that record fool you. 0-1. He's pitched pretty phenomenal. It's just Seattle's lack to score runs is kind of affecting him as well. But versus Detroit, he pitched 5 innings, 5 hits, 3-1, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. If Seattle can score runs,
That's a dub in the
that's a
books.
winner. Yeah, that's a winner there. But he did get the loss at that time at that start. For Logan Gilbert, he throws 4 pitches. However, you're gonna be seeing heavy dose of fastball split mix. He's throwing some sliders and change and curveballs depending on if it's a lefty or right-handed batter. However, his splitter is his split finger is actually his bread and butter pitch. He has yet to allow a hit on it. That's his strikeout pitch. That's the pitch he goes to when he needs a swing and a miss. So Astros fans, I mean, Astros players should be ready for that statement.
Yeah, I think these starting pitchers though, real quick, they're looking to bounce back from their lost start. I mean, like you mentioned, 10 strikeouts. My God, that should be a win in the book. But both starts for these guys, their offense didn't pick them up really.
Yeah,
So, like I said, like Hayden Wazinski's stat, like you mentioned, 2 hits and 3 earned runs. Of course, the walks do hurt, but Wisniewski's really had a good start. Like you mentioned about his fastball, the velocity is there, and then you mix that sweeper mix and the curveball and all that. Man, he has some good stuff. It's just like I mentioned, the offense has to show up for these starting pitchers.
absolutely. And it's going to be an interesting series. I think all three series we talked. Well, I would say the first two, the Nets and the Giants, we predicted pitching duels, and I think this is another one where it's gonna be kind of low scoring game unless one offense gets hot because the pitcher has an off day. So it's gonna be like we said with the Logan Webb, and I think it was Wazensky too. Like who's gonna be making the first mistake, and
Mhm.
that's what it's gonna come down to in this 3 game set. On Tuesday, another 8:40 start time. Luis Castillo, the original Luis Castillo, the former ace Luis Castillo versus Framber Valdez. Now, before I was working as outline before during the game, and they said Framber Valdez was tentative. This is what Channel Room had to say. That some of the starters were under the weather when he asked about why the starting rotation was still TBA for the Seattle series. Leonard Brown said on with Rob Ford on the radio that Valdez has a little bit of a sore throat and a little fatigue. However, uh, Channel Room did confirm that Framber Valdez will start Tuesday. So it is official. Framber Valdez will start on Tuesday, Hunter Brown on Wednesday. But let's talk about Framber Valdez's last start against San Francisco. He did pitch 5 innings, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. He is 1-1 with a 3.75 ERA, but command was the issue there.
Mhm.
The sinker wasn't as dominant as it was against the Mets, and that's what affected him. The sinker was hit hard. As I was looking at his hard pitch like split, he had 6 hard hit pitches, 5 of them were on the sinker. So just being able to locate a little bit more on that, and we kind of talked about this last podcast. It's the tale too about that. Is like sometimes he's lights out when he has all his stuff, and today was and that start with San Francisco just was a day where his sinker and his curveball weren't really like deceiving the hitters as much, where he can get those swings and misses. Because I was looking at this like at this straight chart too.
Mhm.
The Giants did a good job of not chasing that curveball, and that was because that sinker wasn't like letting them change because they were already knew he wasn't commanding it. So why is he going to change it? Not like chase it. So if he can get that right, the Astros will be all right. Seattle will counter with Luis Castillo. Like I said, he is 1-1 with the ERA. Versus Detroit, he pitched 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He does a really good job mixing all his pitches. He throws a fastball, sinker, slider, and changeup. Now, his put away pitch is usually going to be an off speed pitch or the sinker. He's only put in his fastball's only been a put away pitch 9% of the time. However, his sinker has been his put away pitch 22% of the time, changeup 18, and slider 15. So if the Astros are on a 2 strike count, look for those secondary pitches to kind of be in the play for Luis Castillo.
Yeah, real quick with Framber's sinker and like you mentioned, the curveball, that has to be in sync. If it's not in sync, it's going to be just like that start against San Francisco. And like I've mentioned too, the Astros have seen these guys many of
Yeah.
times now. They've seen them many of times. And just like Luis Castillo and just like Logan Gilbert, they've seen the Astros offense many of times as well.
Yeah.
So both of them are going to have to adjust differently. I'm pretty sure some have like learned a new pitch. I'm not 100% sure about that, but you never know. Different offenses too with Isak and Christian Walker, as
Mhm.
well as Randy Arozarena now starting to play a little bit more in this division. So it's going to be interesting how both these offenses adjust to some of these pitchers they've already seen through these seasons.
Yeah, and on Wednesday's game, it's Luis Castillo versus Hunter Brown, but it's funny you say that because the Astros haven't seen this Luis Castillo and
Luis, I think it's F Castillo, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Luis F. Castillo, yes. Just to kind of show that makes Luis F. Castillo, you're right. Versus Hunter Brown. Now, you're right. Seattle has seen Hunter Brown a lot.
Mhm.
However, Hunter Brown has changed up his pitch mixes a little bit, and I'll explain that right now. But let me go what his record is. He's 1-1 with a 3 ERA. His last outing was 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts, like Lorenzo I said. But this year, Hunter Brown is throwing a 6 pitch mix. He's been throwing fastball, sinker, which is only to right-handers: changeup, knuckle curve, cutter, and slider. Now, some of these secondary pitches are reserved for either lefties or for righties, but the fact that he's learning new pitches could kind of help him taking advantage of Seattle's, who has seen him a lot, who has seen him a lot, kind of mix up the pitches, different looks, different spins, so that can help him out there.
Mhm.
Now, the Astros have not seen Luis F. Castillo at all, but he did make his major league debut in 2022 as a reliever for Detroit. After that, he has not been in the majors till his last start uh, with Seattle. So he's 0-0 with a 9.0 ERA in his last in his major league debut for. I'm sorry, in the season debut, he pitched 3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. A four pitch mix: fastball, slider, changeup, and sinker. And there wasn't really much information on him just because it is like his first start of the season, but just that's the pitches the Astros should be aware to see.
Yeah, this is a different Hunter Brown now that the Mariners are going to see. Of course, you've seen Hunter Brown at 22, um, making his major league debut. They've seen him too whenever in that bullpen game in ALDS of, I think it was game three. First full season as a starter in 24, and then, I mean, 23, 24 now, and now 25. He's just a different pitcher now. He's a very different pitcher. I'm pretty sure Seattle's going to have to figure something out with him, just like the Astros are going to have to figure out something with Luis F. Castillo. Sometimes the Astros do a really good job at knocking these new pitchers out of the game. Sometimes it just doesn't go their way. So be interesting how this game of chess is going to be played between both managers and even the offenses.
Yeah, it should be a good series. I think whenever the Astros and Mariners always meet up, it's always a great series, very competitive,
Brewing
especially
series. Brewing
yeah,
series.
absolutely. And we'll talk about those standings later in this episode and tell you why this series is important. But again, I think that's pretty much for the pitching preview. So I guess we'll move on to Astros injury update. And that's McCullers Jr. Like we said, he was going to make his second rehab start today. He pitched 1.2 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, two of them earned, 3 walks, and a K. He did give up a home run. However, again, we're not really looking at the stat numbers. More of if he comes out healthy, and just making sure he can throw, right. So he threw 50 pitches, which is 28 strikeouts, and that's what we kind of predicted:
Mhm.
45 to 50 pitches, and they stopped and ran at 50. So
Yeah, maybe the only thing from that is just the command. I
yeah,
mean, like you mentioned, I think at the end of the day, they just want to see where's if the pitch count going up and if he's healthy, recovering after his start. So yes,
yeah,
there's that minor part of it, giving up 4 hits, 3 walks, even a home run. But at
yeah.
the end of the day, pitch count, they just want to see that pitch count just continue to go on up, just gradually increasing each start.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting next few days just to see how his arm holds up. I know, again, talking about Luis Garcia, that's when I heard him the most, those recovery days. But I think Nash McCullers, everything goes well, should be making his season debut for the Astros pretty soon. And go ahead.
No, no,
Go
no, I
ahead
was
with it.
most definitely.
We do have an Astros roster update. This is per Ari Alexander, right-handed pitcher Logan Van Way is being called up and will join the Astros in Seattle, which to me that move makes sense. It
Yes.
was a bullpen game for pretty much for the Astros in game three. They had to use Contreras for 2 innings. They had to use Rafael Montero for 2 innings, Hader for 2 innings. So Luis Contreras can't pitch in the next 3-4 days anyways. So you're gonna need a healthy regular who can go, at a moment's notice. And Logan Van Way being that guy gets the promotion, which this is a guy that pitched well in spring training,
Mhm.
kind of earned this spot because I think at the end of last year, no one knew who Logan Van Way was until the beginning of this year when Joe Spotter brought him up. And look at him now, having an Astros jersey with his last name on it in the back. Shout out to him.
Yeah, I think at least minor league wise in AAA, I think people have heard about him.
Hmm.
But like you mentioned, the spring training, he was really dominant. This is one of the guys I think both of us had on our projections of the opening day roster, and we were both kind of shocked that he didn't make it. But in the day, he got some reps, and I think that's what the Astros wanted him to do is just continually getting some reps in AAA, just like the offensive part. As we're going for the pitching guy. So Logan Van Way and Logan Van Y, not
My
to
bad. My
yeah,
bad. No,
but
no, no.
and to add on to what you're saying with the bullpen games, I mean Ryan Goose has already pitched some bullpen games. Luis Contreras has already pitched a lot, and the big thing about that's why the Astros are bringing him up, is because those guys have options. Luis
Mhm.
Contreras has an option. Ryan Gusto obviously has an option. It'll be interesting to see who Houston brings down when Van White comes up. We don't know
Uh,
yet.
it was Luis Contreras.
It was Luis Contreras. Okay, so
Yes,
I didn't know that until now. So yeah,
I was
like I
about to
mentioned.
mention that they were done.
Oh shit. Well, no.
Mhm. No,
Anyway,
you're good. You're good. You're good.
yeah, Logan Van White, and it just makes sense, like you mentioned. It makes a lot of sense if you have the options. Luis Contreras, like I said, it's been kind of up and down for him. He had a good spring. He had a good debut in that Mets series, but then I think in the Giants series he gave up some runs. In this series against the Twins, he gave up some runs. So it makes sense. It doesn't really hurt the Astros. It just gives them some reinforcements to come in this critical series.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting when he comes up. I think it might be on Monday just to give that they use what 5 relievers today. Josh Hader, Ryan Gusto's probably out too because he pitched 42 innings for Monday.
I
So
think just like the whole bullpen itself pitched a lot in them two games,
yeah,
in game two and game three. Stephen O'Kurt, not to mention, he's been pitching really good, lights out. Ryan Gusto has pitched. Rafael
yeah,
Montero, Brian Abreu, Josh Hader, Brian
no,
King.
but yeah, but I'm saying like I feel like the bullpen pieces who are out definitely because they pitched too much. It's probably gonna be Rafael Montero for pitching too. Ryan
Oh yeah,
Gusto pitched 42 innings. I mean, sorry, 42 pitches on um on Saturday. So I think those two guys are out for sure. Josh Hader probably. Josh Hader might be able to pitch an inning, just
yeah.
depending how he feels. So I think Logan Van Wy's name might be the first one out, and the bullpen needed to be. So unless I'd say if it's like
We'll
if
probably have some Taylor
Wazensky,
Scott too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I was about to say, if Wazensky goes 7 innings, then it might be just Abreu or Hader, or if he
Or it
pitches
could be
six, might
Taylor
be
Scott and Abreu too.
yeah. So I'd say if he goes five, then the six might be Logan Van Wy just because he is you know the pitcher who has more bullets in him.
I'll say two. It depends on matchup. And just so, like if it's two
Yeah,
lefties and
that's
the
true.
three batters coming up, then you're probably going to see O'Kurt or Brian King.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But for round of horn today, I'm just gonna focus on the AL West standings, uh, because I'm gonna explain why. But Texas is 8-2, LA is 16-3, Houston 4-5, Athletics 4-6, and Seattle 3-7. Now, many people had Texas and Seattle as the top two in the league, so this series is important right now, early on, to try to take, first of all, past Houston and climb up those standings. But at the end of the season, you want to beat the AL West opponent as much time as you want to get that tiebreaker at the end, or if need be. So this is an important series. The Astros don't want to fall too much behind for the Rangers, who are off to a pretty good start.
Mhm.
The Rangers were the team that many predicted to win the AL West, and I think the Astros still have a great chance.
Yeah, I think the shocking team, I would say, and I didn't think they were going to be competing in the West, was the Angels. They've been
Yeah.
playing good baseball. Credit to them. The pitching's been good, and their offense has been good too. But the Rangers, man, the the offense hasn't been there for them, but they just been grinding out some games. I don't know if you saw that series against Cincinnati. They were outscored, and they won that series. And I don't know what series they're
They,
playing against right now. I don't know if you might know that who
they
they're.
just walked off. No, they won today because they walked off. Give me a second. I know Jonah Heim hit I think a walk-off home run, and
They've
wait,
been playing
give me a
some.
second.
Basically, they've been playing some scrappy baseball so far this season.
Yeah,
They've been playing good baseball. So
against
you
Tampa
got to
Bay.
give credit. Tampa Bay Rays.
Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah.
Yeah, so give them credit. They played a good Red Sox team too in the beginning of their season, and like we said, this division is going to be a dogfight. I think this has been probably the most competitive I would say it's been, and I'm saying it's so early right now in the season, but every team got better. Los Angeles picked
Mhm.
up some guys at free agency and maybe even did a trade or two. Texas, of course, when they're healthy, they're a good team. Houston's Houston. The Athletics, of course, that move to Sacramento, sucks, baseball wise, but it's a new team, basically new everything, and they got some good young players over there. And of course, Seattle is always going to be sticking around because of their rotation, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. So this would be a grind. I mean, like we said this from the beginning, it's going to be a grinder of a season for the Astros, and They're right now sitting in third place, but it's still at least been what 9, 10 games in the book, so nothing to worry about.
Yeah. So after this series too, they're going to play another American League foe and American League
The
West foe, and it's the Angels. So,
Yeah.
not to mention too that City Connect weekend. So make sure you get your tickets and all that.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
for the like the
It's City
giveaways
Connect
and
weekend
stuff.
period. Yeah, even their
Oh,
giveaways. I
okay.
think they're doing like a 713 chain. I think an Orbit bobblehead too, with him wearing the Space City uniform and something else. So get your
Okay.
tickets if you want to go check that out. My mistake too. I thought they were 4-4. I thought there was a 500 record, but appreciate you catching me on that with a 4-5 record for your Houston Astros. But that is the end of our show. A real quick one on this
Yeah.
Sunday because, of course, everybody got to work the next day. We know we were pretty busy ourselves, so we wanted to make sure to get this out as quickly as possible. Like Angel had mentioned in the beginning of the show, on our social media platforms, we've got on Twitter, TikTok as well, FSA Full Steam Ahead on Instagram. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, then you will not miss the latest videos coming this season of the Houston Astros. Maybe some player interviews, maybe some fun little short content videos with these guys. To get some of this personality going for them. But besides seeing us and watching our beautiful faces, you can listen to us on the road during your workout or when your kid is playing. You don't want to even watch them play. Look at us at Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. The rates, the reviews, give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. But we appreciate all y'all support. No doubt about that. Cantu, you got anything before we sign off?
No, I second that. Everything you said. Appreciate all support. Thank you for listening, staying tuned. Like I know we have some people who are present every time they get that Twitter notification that we are live. So we appreciate all of that and peace.
Go Cougs! Monday, big game. And if you're listening to this on a Monday morning or Monday afternoon, you better wear red. You better get your ass moving to San Antonio. Sadly, I won't be out there, but I will be watching the game at Mikasa. But until then, y'all stay safe. Have a good start to your week. Have a great, magnificent Monday. And we'll talk to y'all on the series ending against the Seattle Mariners. Get you that preview against the Angels going to Dyken Park. Till then, talk to y'all later.